Okay guys, let's go ahead and get started on this patty melt. So of course you're gonna need some meat. I'm using ground beef. You're gonna need some diced yellow onion, Worcestershire sauce, sea salt, black pepper. I'm gonna use this burger sauce. It tastes just like the Big Mac sauce from McDonald's. Swiss cheese, pepper jack cheese, and American cheese, and some Texas toast. That is all you need. It's the easiest recipe. A patty melt is a mix between a grilled cheese and a cheeseburger. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just start seasoning our meat. It's very simple. I don't do a lot when I'm making patty melts. I actually make it the most simplest seasoning because you get all the flavors from the onion, the sauce, and the cheese. So this is one of the simple burgers. So I just added some pepper. I'm adding some salt. And now I'm going to add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. This is our first coat of seasoning. I'm only doing 2 coats. I'm going to go ahead and mix that. I love patty melts. I just haven't had one in a long time. I used to get the Frisco melt from Steak and Shake. And that used to be one of my favorite burgers. I mean, I don't eat a lot of burgers just because I barely eat a lot of beef. But when I do, I like homemade burgers. But you know, Steak and Shake had gave me that feel of a homemade burger. And if you're in Texas, Whataburger also has some patty melts. Now, patty melts are usually made with rye bread, seedless white rye bread. But I'm not a fan of rye bread, and Steak and Shake never used it, and neither does Whataburger. So I like the Texas toast, or just any toast. You can use sourdough. You can do any toast of your liking. It's your choice. Every recipe you can make your own. So we're just going in with our second coat of seasoning, and then that should be good. So I'm gonna make sure it's all incorporated. Try not to work your meat too much. That's why I'm just flipping it, sticking my fingers in it, and that's about it. I don't want to work it too much because it makes your burger a little bit tough. So that's all I need. So now I'm going to go ahead and just take some meat and start forming our patties. Now the thing about a patty melt is you want the burger to be as flat as possible, because usually patty melts have about 2 or 3 patties on top. And that's why you want to make it as thin as possible. Don't worry about making sure the edges are actually curved or straight, because you want to let them get crispy. The good thing about a patty melt is that it's imperfect. So you see how my edges, they're not perfect. You see it's really flat. That's how you want your patty melt to be. So I'm going to work on all of my patties, and I will be back. Alright, so now that I have formed all of my patties, they're right here. I have a skillet on medium high, and I'm going to toss those patties in there, probably 2 at a time, because I don't have enough to, I don't have a bigger skillet. So I'm just gonna toss that in, scoot it over a little bit, toss the second one in. And it will shrink just a little bit, so don't worry about it. The key thing is you're going to wait for it to crisp around the edges, and then you're going to flip it. So I'll be back to show you what I mean. Alright, so my burger has been going for about 5 minutes. It has a little browning around the edges, so I'm about to flip that over. That's what you want it to look like. perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and let these cook, but we're gonna go ahead and switch over to start sauteing our onions so that everything will be done at once. All right, so we're gonna start sauteing our onions while we have our burger still going. So we're gonna start off with some butter. And the thing about sauteing onions is you always want to mix butter and oil so that you can get the right caramelization. So I just put a little bit of olive oil in there. I'm gonna move that over so I can let it melt just a little bit. And I still have it on medium-high heat. Once it melts all the way, we will throw our onions in. So I'm just swirling it around, trying to get it as evenly distributed as possible. There we go. That's enough. So we're just going to go ahead and throw in our onions. And we're just going to leave them alone. We're going to let them just get coated in all of the butter and the oil. And we're going to let it just saute. I'll show you what it should look like halfway through. Okay, we're starting getting browning around the edges. So this is where I go in and season it with a little bit of pepper. I'm going to mix it up. It's doing a great job. You want to turn down the heat to about medium. And you're going to keep letting it caramelize just a bit. I'm going to let it go for about 1 more minute and then I'm going to take it off. Because I don't like mine too dark. But do it to your liking. But yeah, like I'm going to go 1 more minute and then I'm just going to take it off. Alright, so this is the part where I start to assemble my sandwich. I always assemble my sandwich inside the pot. It's not hot, it's not anything. But it's just easier for me because this is kind of a messy sandwich. So what I start with is my Texas toast. You see how thick that is? I've already buttered it. So I'm going to lay that butter side down. I like to add my sandwich sauce on both sides of the bread. So of course this is the bottom, and then I'm going to actually add it to the top as well, because I like for my sandwich to be nice and juicy. And because we're using 2 patties, you want to make sure that your patties aren't tasting dry, because you don't have any type of liquid, for the lack of better words. So I'm just making sure that each corner is filled with sauce. And again, this sauce tastes just like Big Mac sauce. If you have it in your stores, or if you can order it off Amazon, please do so. It's so good. And they have different flavors. They even have one that's like Zaxby sauce or cane sauce. Oh, so good. Alright, so my next tactic is to add my onions. So I like a lot of onions. So I am going to put as much as I want. But if you don't like onions, then don't put it on your sandwich. Even though that's what makes a patty melt. But you don't have to do it. Some people just don't like onions. I didn't start liking onions until I got older for some reason. Well, most kids don't like onions. There are exceptions. Some kids do. But I was not one of those kids. So I'm making sure my onions are evenly distributed. Alright. Ooh, so good. So this is where our first piece of cheese comes from. I am going to use Swiss. Patty melts can be a lot of different cheeses. You choose the cheese of your choice. I'm going to add my first patty. And now I'm going to add my American cheese. It's kind of ripping. So let me get that off for you guys. Don't trip off of the presentation. It all melts and it looks good. All right, so this is my American cheese. So good. And then I'm going to add my last patty. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And then on top of that, I'm going to also add my pepper jack cheese. So we have 3 pieces of cheese so far. This is not a healthy dish, guys. Do not kill me. And then I have my last piece of bread, which I'm just going to flip over real quick so I can add my sandwich sauce. A little bit off camera. And I'm just going to spread the sauce on. You don't have to use this. You can use Thousand Island, or you don't have to use anything. My boyfriend, he loves mayo, so he used mayo on his. But I'm not that big of a fan of mayo. I love mayo, but I'm not that big of a fan. Just adding a little bit more. Spreading that on. There we go. And then I'm going to add it on top. So now we're going to head to the stove so we can start getting our bread nice and toasted, and we can start melting our cheese. So I will see you at the stove. All right, so I have my burger in the pan. I have it on medium high. I'm letting my bread toast. I just always just take a little peek at it. I just keep peeking at it. There's no technique for it for me. I see when it's time to flip. Once I actually do flip, I'm gonna press it down just a little bit so we can get a little bit flatter, get that cheese melting, and then we're gonna cut it open and get into it. All right, so this is the part where I try to flip the sandwich, whether it's melted or not, or whether it's browned or not. And the reason being is because I don't mind flipping it more than once, but I want that heat evenly distributed. So I'm grabbing it with a spatula, and I do take my hand and I flip it like that, trying to ensure that everything doesn't fall off like it almost did. But this is the part where I smash it down just a little bit. That's some great color, actually. I smash it down just a little bit so that I can make sure that it's melting properly and that we're going to get some heat up in there. But yeah, so I'm just going to let this to continue to melt. We're going to take it off the stove. We'll cut into it like I said before, and we're going to eat. So I will be right back. All right, my sandwich is done. I'm about to cut it diagonal so we can see the inside. And we're going to actually eat. So here it goes. It's still kind of hot. Do you see the inside of that? Oh my God. It looks amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and just plate this and bon appetit. All right, guys, so you know the drill. If you tried out this recipe, do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Look at that cheese all melted. I'm giving you a 360 view on this sandwich. It looks so good. But yeah, go ahead and get into it.